Hi, this is Rabbi Shmuel Pollen, and I'm going to welcome you back to the Light Unto the Nations show. And I'm sorry I haven't put up a video for a while, but I've been really busy, and I make sure this one is especially good to make up for everything that I missed. And I must tell you that I have a course for sale. It's at theoccultsecret.com, theoccultsecret.com. That's going to teach you how to have success in everything you do, and it's based on forbidden knowledge hidden for 3,000 years, and you're going to love it. So go to theoccultsecret.com. The name of this video will probably be Why Did God Send Us the COVID Virus, or something like that. And it's an interesting question. Most rabbis would probably say it's a stupid question. You either have to be a prophet to know that, or you have to be an idiot to think that. Um, God is infinite, as we know, so it's not easy to figure out why any tragedy happens, let alone a tragedy killing over 1 million people in the course of a few months. But there is another side to this, and that is the fact that history repeats itself. And if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to go through it again. So we have to learn from history, and we have to take lessons, and we have to tell people. I'm a rabbi, so I have to tell people what to do next, how to become better from this. How can we seize the day? How can we turn this negative into a positive? We must do that. If we don't do that, then the entire tragedy is somewhat wasted. If we just throw our hands up and say, well, we can't understand anything about what God does, well, then the tragedy goes by and it's completely wasted. And we never get to better ourselves. We never get to accomplish what God meant for us to accomplish. So, what does God want us to accomplish from the COVID virus? Um, well, let's look at history, as I said, and let's go back to King David, because you may or may not be aware, but there was a plague in his time. And he asked God why it's happening, because thousands and thousands of people were dying. And God gave an answer. He said, it's because of gratitude. It's because people are not having gratitude. Gratitude has been proven scientifically to be the most important ingredient in a happy life. Your happiness is directly controlled by how much gratitude you have and how often you have it. Right now, we are living a quality of life that humans have never experienced in history, and yet suicides are skyrocketing. Why does there seem to be no correlation between how good things are and how happy we feel? Well, it's simple. All the good things don't matter to your happiness if you don't stop and thank someone for them. Reality or God, take your pick. But you are missing out on the greatest joy of all generations if you don't appreciate the gifts that this technology has given us. Neonatal deaths, that means newborn babies dying, that happening has dropped like a rock. It rarely happens anymore. We take people who have lost limbs and get them running again with prosthetic parts. We can call someone 30,000 miles away and do business. That used to take 10 years. We pack on our phones and our computers more information than 10,000 libraries could. Any information you want about absolutely anything is at your fingertips, and it's there for you within a split second. What is going on? How crazy is all of this? Why aren't we completely shocked and bowled over? I know why. It's sort of like when your kid gets taller. You don't notice it because you see them all the time. But in this case, we must notice it. Make markers, just like my parents did for me. Every 6 months, they made a mark on the wall for how tall I was. And by the time I was 10, I was amazed and filled with gratitude at what had God done for me. So put your iPhone 10 up against your flip phone from 10 years ago. Notice what you see. Pull up cars online versus horses and buggies. Realize that you could be, if you were born in another generation, riding in a horse and buggy. You must notice. if you don't want to be an ingrate. You must notice if you want to be happier. Then there's the little things, the human things. We go to the bathroom successfully. There are people who can't do that successfully. They wish they had your life and aren't thinking, and you aren't thinking for what you have. What about your ability to see? My left eye has problems. I worry that I'll lose vision in that eye one day. You should be happy that your left eye does not have problems. It's a very complex machine. It's a miracle that it works at all. The ability to stand up straight, our heartbeat, our breath, none of this had to happen, but it did. And you should say thanks. When you do, you won't have anxiety. Even if you believe in evolution, what are the odds that all of this worked out starting from a big bang? At least be grateful to whoever caused evolution. The fact that we're not happy under these optimal conditions can only be described as insanity and a slap in the face. And that's what brings on plagues when you slap God in the face. He wants to not punish you, he wants to bring you back to normalcy. He wants to bring you back to the straight and narrow path. So the fact that we're not happy under these optimal conditions is insanity to reality or to God. They have just showered us with gold and diamonds, and we say, when's the next version coming out? You should be looking at your iPhone with the wonder of a 5-year-old at SeaWorld. We are using stuff that a few thousand years would be considered magic. Be amazed. Just think about it. Just think how much easier our lives are because of it. Read about comparisons between then and now. Learn where you've come from. The availability of food, the availability of information, the availability of healthcare, the availability of communication with others. It's not only fair and appropriate to have gratitude all the time, it will also make you happy. See my other videos on this channel about happiness. There are a lot of prophecies in the Bible about the coming of a Messiah and world peace. So this is like now another reason possibly for COVID. Unity is everybody doing the same thing, which is what we have with COVID. We're all wearing masks. We're all social distancing. We're all in lockdown sometimes. We're all praying for the same thing. We're all scared of the same thing. And it doesn't matter your race or your country. The possibility for world peace is right in front of us. We're all facing the same enemy. We're all doing the same things to protect ourselves. We are all one. Infighting was the reason for the destruction of the second temple in Jerusalem. So learn from history. Learn to come together with people of all races. We are squandering this opportunity. We are fighting with each other about race just when we're supposed to be uniting. God probably sent us this for us to unite, because that's the opportunity that we have to unite with each other, to unite Republicans and Democrats, left wing and right wing, black and white, and Chinese, because the Chinese weren't responsible for COVID. Somebody was responsible for it, but it wasn't the Chinese people. They're victims just like everybody else. Everybody's a victim. And we all don't know why it's happening. We're all in the same boat. This is the perfect time to hold hands together and be united. Then there's more history that we need to know about. We need to know about ancient Egypt, which was destroyed, and the Jews left with much wealth, and the sea was split for them. But the fact is, ancient Egypt was destroyed, and the Bible tells us that the coming of the Messiah will be a repeat of the Jews going out of Egypt, and America is the Egypt. Egypt was destroyed for one reason: moral depravity. Men marrying men, women marrying women, this one taking this other one's wife. Today, we have legal gay marriage, legal abortion. Adultery is like 30% happening, and there's 30% of marriages. And we have a hookup culture now, where people are just sleeping with each other without even knowing each other, sleeping with each other on the first day. Can you imagine that? On the first day, without even knowing each other at all, sharing your most intimate parts? sharing the most intimate part of yourself. Masturbation is rampant. People are doing it every day. 10 million people a day go to Pornhub.com and masturbate. Having sex without marriage, without even knowing the person at all, is a slap in the face to God and is something that you should feel wrong about, something that you should be embarrassed about. There's nothing wrong with being gay. God made people gay. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But from God's perspective, the best thing is that you not act upon it. It's a counterproductive urge that should be fought like all other negative urges. We're all in the same boat. We all have negative urges. That's the way it is. God gave us an evil inclination. We're all not supposed to indulge in all of our urges. That's what makes us stronger, and that's what sheds light on the world. And my mentor would always end with a blessing for the coming of the Messiah. Some people don't know what that means. What does it mean we want the Messiah to come? Well, I'll just share with you a little bit is the prophecy in Isaiah that swords will be turned into plowshares. They'll be beaten into plowshares. So what is swords? Swords is the military. Swords is violence. And what is plowshares? Plowshares brings food to people. So we have a huge shortage of food for people, even though we have more than enough food for them, but it's not somehow getting to the right people. So what will happen in the times of the Messiah is that there'll be so much unity, and that's what we're supposed to be developing right now, the unity. There'll be so much unity that the money for the military will be transferred, will be beaten into plowshares, will be beaten into food. People won't need as much of a military budget anymore because there will be so much peace in the land. There'll be so much harmony in the land, in the entire world. So that's what we want. We want the military budget gone and turned all into food so everyone, absolutely everyone, has food to eat. And I have an organization called B'nai Noah that is doing exactly that. Well, we don't control the military budget. Maybe one day we will. But we are feeding people in India and Eastern Ukraine and Nigeria. And I want to thank you for listening and bless you with to live to the time of the coming of the Messiah. May it be immediately.